Good morning. How are y'all today? I know I said I'd be better and get on and do it. I'm just going to set an alarm to do it every week. But fresh off a 2-week trip, really 8 days with the travel. Came back. We went to Italy. It's Jubilee year. And so it was a pilgrimage, holy year pilgrimage for me. But we'll get to that in just a second because that's big. That actually may be its own separate podcast. Might do that one this evening, okay? So, so here's the hard truth. I realize that the government shutdown is coming. Now, I'm going to tell you a few snippets, but I'm going to preface this with this is not about my politics, your politics, or your neighbor's politics. This is about reality. So, I know. I took the Sudafed to dry it out. Now it's slightly back. There's no winning with this crap. It started raining the minute I landed, and I was like, oh, yeah, clear skies, clean air. Welcome back to Texas. Dust, rain, and exhaust fumes. So, hey, Papa Ricola in. How does that sound? Y'all know I'm doing all this going to work. So, hold on, I'm going to sit you down for a second. Totally thought I could do that with one hand and my mouth, but paper was a little stuck. Okay, so here's the deal. I do think that benefits are helping. I do believe them to be a hand up. I do not think they should be a lifestyle. Okay? But now, how long you need help for is an indeterminate amount of time unique to each individual family. I'd also like to preface it with it is not just young people abusing the system. The system exists to help our elderly, and that scares me. Okay? Because look, fixed income people, they only got so much. It only goes so far. Okay? So now, all that out of the way, I see both sides. I really do see both sides. And y'all know me well enough to know that I take my 10 steps back and I look at both sides of it. I'm I don't know. My husband calls me a liberal conservative because I see both sides of the coin, and I said you have to, because there's not two sides of the aisle anymore. Okay, now we're moving along because this will not turn into a politic debate because I actually detest politicians, politics, and the state of all that crap. Okay? It's just a mind-boggling embarrassment. These are the hard truths. I have lived in Section 8 housing. I, until this year, have never spoken about it. And I, this year, actually within just a few months ago, told someone Section 8 housing saved my life. And I truthfully believe that. As a single mom with a kid, and we shared our time when he came and got him in those years, um, no body slam. My son later went to live with his dad full time. I really have nothing bad to say about his dad. I'm going to tell you this is how I look at human beings. They're doing the best they can to their full capacity. Their capacity just may not meet yours. Is what it is. Okay? I don't think, I'm just indifferent on a lot of things. So, but at that time in my life, I had my son 90 to 95% of the time. I was going to cosmetology school on a Pell Grant, and Miss Brenda Day, that owned Eddy County Beauty College at the time with her mother, Miss Flutie, would not give you your living expenses till towards the end because she felt like you would blow it and not come to school. Okay? Completely true. When I got a hold of it, I blew it and didn't come to school for a little bit. Honestly, just because I had a little breathing room. It was no shit a relief, okay? And she doled it out in doses. Not only that, she doled it out in doses, okay? But now this woman had known me actually since I was in my mother's womb. They did our family's hair. In fact, Brenda gave me my first haircut, okay? So was I treated differently in that school? Yes, I was treated like her own child, like she birthed me. I was disciplined. I was spoken to. I was called out, called on the carpet, all the things, just like a mama would do. Grateful for it to this day. At the time, a little salty. So, and I worked full time as a waitress at Lucy's. And I had a toddler who sometimes went to work with me if I had to go in and work for a few hours. And I worked crazy hours. I mean, I really did learn you could sleep when you were dead during those years. My house was immaculate. I used to be terrified to have a dirty house. Absolutely, God forbid, terrified. Now I'm like, you can clean it when the grandkids leave. But I reached a point where I was struggling so hard living in private sector rent housing that, I mean, like, y'all, sometimes I had $20 to my damn name. I had been in a car wreck. Not my fault, but my car had gotten totaled and I had to get a different car. That sucked. But my car payment was really low. Y'all would shit. My car payment was $235. And it like killed me some months to make it. And I would give my front teeth for that shit now. Okay? Try not to cuss. I'm trying real hard to be better, but it's what it is. But then I had car insurance. You know, I was just raised that you kept your car insurance because, you know, God forbid people don't have insurance. Little did they know that is the real deal now. But I was struggling so hard. And these are some of the hard truths. I bought groceries and cooked. I didn't eat them. I saved those meals and planned them for Dakota to eat. I would snack with what little I could get away with at the restaurant. We had a cook there named Adam. If you've ever eaten there, you've seen Adam's queso on the menu. It's because he created it. It's fabulous. Adam was bar none one of the most amazing humans on the entire planet. Adam used to take a fried corn tortilla, sprinkle some cheese in it for me, and he would roll it up and he would hand me one, I don't know, once or twice a shift because it was a carb and a little protein. We would have both gotten in trouble. We were terrified of getting caught. But he knew I wasn't eating. You know, I might eat a chip here and there, you know, once in a while if I had really good tips that day because, you know, y'all got to remember in the mid 90s, oil took a crap. So I did have to move into Section 8 housing. And I remember thinking, my family is going to be so embarrassed. My mother was mortified, absolutely mortified. She only came one time. She didn't stay but like nanoseconds because we were loading up and she had to load some stuff for Christmas back in Wolford. And she didn't want anyone to see her there in our hometown. Well, they saw me there every day. I lived there. My son played there. You know, I had neighbors there. I had this older lady who was on a fixed income. I'm going to say elderly, but she had had an accident at work also. So while she was only in her mid 60s, they did put her on disability. And once a week, she would make gorditas and she would bring me one. And she would share her meal with me because I think they all knew I weighed 97 pounds. This baby girl ain't eating. And y'all, at one point I weighed 95. I had straight A's in beauty school. Did I imbibe in some extracurricular activities? Yes, but not to excess, I can't say. I mean, Jesus, I didn't have time. I didn't hardly even have time to have fun. So, and when I did, oh, y'all just hold your beer because I had a lot of fun when I did get time to cut loose because I was twitching. So, but I'll never forget that. And there was this one time, and I want y'all to know, I didn't qualify for food stamps because I had a job and my car which at that point was like 9.5 years old or something like that. So let's just say close to 10 years old. My car was too nice and I had a job. They gave me one time when oil like completely tanked and like, I don't know, I paid all my bills and I never asked for assistance because, I'd always been told, well, if you have a job, you're not going to get them. Um, I, one time, and I'll tell y'all the backstory of that, one time got a $50 stipend to buy groceries from the state. And I literally, like, when that lady was like, well, you have a car, you have a place to live, you have a job. I understand you're not making any money, but you could easily get a second job. At that time, I had 3 jobs and going to school. I was cleaning a bar, a bank, working at the restaurant, and going to school, paying for a babysitter, paying for day school, paying for all his needs, right? Private. I got nothing. His daycare wasn't free, nothing. He went to a private woman in her home, Miss Gail, who I swear to God above was an angel sent for me. Because sometimes she would come outside and I would just pull up and I would sit in my car and I would need that 10 seconds to just kind of be like, it's going to be okay. And sometimes she would just come out. Now, mind you, I picked my kid up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. My kid can sleep through a hurricane. Okay? She offered me more than 100 times to sleep on her couch. Just come in, sleep on the couch. Let me make you breakfast. I swear to God, everyone was afraid I wasn't eating. And I wasn't eating. I was so, I look at pictures now and I was so frail. But that was a sacrifice I made. Does that make sense? So, but they just one time, and I swear I got punished for it on my income tax the next year. I really did. And I was pissed. But I called my mom, who I didn't have the best relationship with, and we all know that. And I asked to borrow $50. Now, this was before I went to the state and basically begged for some money, right? To buy groceries. That's all I asked for. And she told me, I don't know what you want. You should budget better. And she said, I'm not giving you any money. Now, the flood of things that came through my mind of all the help she gave my siblings and this, that, and the other, but I never said a word. I wanted so bad to just be like, are you kidding me? But instead, I did not. Instead, I internalized it and was like, I said, well, I did budget. Every one of my bills are paid. I have $25 to my name. I haven't eaten a meal that I have cooked at home in probably a year. And I find this amazing that while everyone was so worried, the last person that ever asked me and never actually asked me if I was eating or if I was okay, it was my mother. Now, my grandmother had me on Sundays to do laundry, and magically there was too many leftovers. Praise Jesus for Mama. Praise Jesus for her. She sent me little butter crocs of whatever. We would split whatever. Now, my mama lived on a fixed income, but it was a lot better than most people. She had extra money. I mean, she didn't live like she had extra money. This woman quit school in 8th grade to pick cotton because it was the Great Depression, so her younger siblings could stay in school. She was very frugal, but she knew that that might be the only food I had at home that week. Now, I sat at the table every day with my kid, and he ate, and and he, as he 3+ years old, was that Mama eat? Oh, Mama's full. Mama ate at work. So, but these are the hard truths. I did get a check in the mail a few days later from my stepdad, and they're both dead now, so I'm just going to air this. He told me I was never to tell my mom, but it was a one time. It would never happen again. But he felt like I was trying. You know what I did? I bought meat because everything else was cheaper. So I bought meat and put in my freezer. I remember this. I remember taking that $50 and thinking, okay, I'm going to be okay. I can make this work. So as we're in this shutdown and SNAP benefits are not going to come this weekend for people young, old, middle-aged, whatever, try to remember that not everyone is a lifestyle. Some people are just really doing their dead level best. And it just is sinking. And I own that t-shirt. I own it in a couple of colors. I've written hot checks for Pampers and baby food and prayed that my paycheck was enough to cover that and squeak me by. I have washed clothes in my bathtub and hung them to dry because I didn't feel like I had quarters to go to the laundry. I've paid for gas and change. Yeah. So people ask me all the time about the name of my store, Grace and Hustle. And my godmother says, who is one of my best friends in this world and in the eternal world, because she will be there. And God forbid she ever make it there first. My stress level, I might make it there first. But she's going to be there with a tambourine jumping up and down, being like, Robbie, I've been waiting for you. She teaches me constantly to remain in grace inside of your hustle, and life is a constant hustle. Everybody's back. How was your trip? Fast and Furious? He what? Okay. Did they have the best time? Hmm? This is named incorrectly, and I didn't get to change it yesterday. But I had it printed out so that I could fix it. Does that make sense? And then Trojan called and needed a little help with some stuff, you know? You know how you leave it on your desk so you get to it?
Yeah.
Okay, but did I do good keeping up with the folders?
Yeah.
I busted my buns on a. Marisol said I did good. I was trying to keep up with anything that came in, you know?